Hello and welcome to Trial of Chaos or Trials of Chaos Tips and Tricks video. This one is not going to be that long because there are not that many tips and tricks that you can do other than upgrade your character. However, there are some things that will make things easier for you, and there are some things that are going to make things more difficult for you. The first things first is there are multiple levels of these trials with multiple end floors. So we have floor 4, or pardon, number of trials 4, 7, and 10. For Ascendancy points, you need to complete trial 4, trial 7, trial 10, and the Trialmaster, as it happens to be after the trial 10, then you open the door and such. Trialmaster does not have any separate modifiers, so whatever modifiers you had from the trial itself is not going to carry over. Trialmaster has its own separate modifier. However, in order to get to Trialmaster, you need to get 3 keys. These keys are called fates. So we have deadly, cowardly, and one more fate. So you can buy them on Alva, and they're cowardly, deadly, and victorious, and they cost various amounts. And how do you drop them? You drop them by killing the last boss in regular trial. So when you finish wave 10, well, trial 10, you will then drop one of these at random. Now, the first suggestion I would make for tips and tricks is if your character can do 10 trials, if you like one-shot the bosses and such, so if you have a few divines invested in your character already, then I suggest doing it multiple times, grabbing these fragments, selling them, and buying an Ascendancy boost from someone wherever, 30, 40 exalts. So if you drop a few of these, then I would suggest that one. However, if you want to complete the trial, the way how the trials are done so far is a very mushy mechanic of find the safe spot in all the red. The problem with this is actually very simple. The visual clutter is so bad that you need to one-shot everything, or you basically, you can actually fail it. I cannot recommend doing the trial for the reason of visual clutter until they fix it. However, if you can one-shot everything, then it's perfectly fine. Now, why else would you do this trial? There are also little bits and pieces that you can do to help you, and that is, in trials, you have different modifiers that you can get, that you can do. There are modifiers that are modifying your character, like losing resistances, and there are modifiers that are modifying mobs, like giving them more rare monsters, have more modifiers and such. In regards to the trials themselves, the ones that I would personally pick are usually the ones that cannot affect the player too much. Inflicted grasping vines when hit. If you are evasion based, you can take the hard tether. If you are armor based, then you might get like the maximum resistances. I do not recommend that one, but it is what it is. Now, turrets are usually free, and petrified turrets have a trick to them. It wouldn't be a tips and tricks video otherwise. Petrified turrets, if you look at them directly with your mouse, with your character, there will be a beam, you will get stunned. However, if you stand next to them and you point your mouse away from them, you will not get stunned. So that's one thing that can help. Another thing that can help is exactly as you have seen here. Pick the mechanics that have safe spot in the middle, and you will be fine. So you cannot see it here. There's a donut mechanic that expands, and if you stand in the center, it starts usually from the center where the player is standing. You are safe. If you pick that mechanic, lightning conduit, which is also a red circle, that when fills in, it disappears and then starts shooting lightning. And if you pick a heart tether, which is another circle, red circle, that if you do not leave, you're fine, but if you leave, you're getting slowed and stunned. So if you pick those mechanics together, you will have a safe zone around your character every 7 to 10 seconds, and you will not feel those mechanics whatsoever. However, they will slow down your trial, especially if you have like the ones that you need to like carry the progress thing, but those mechanics are good. Then, if you want another thing, you can combine volatile globules and the big blood orb with towers, with this spinny thing. You can combine those, as those will always make you run. So you either want to choose mechanics that will make you stay in place with a safe area where you can dodge around, or you want to make mechanics that will make you move and basically never stop. Do not mix and match, because if you mix and match, you're going to get a safe area and then globule that's going to drop on you and that's going to kill you. That's a bad idea. One more tip that I have for you is on this one with the lasers. You can dodge roll the damage from the lasers. Absolutely fine. When the laser is coming in, you can press dodge roll. You are dodge rolling it perfectly fine. Next, if you pick a petrifying tower or a debuff of whatever sort, do not pick an extension of debuff modifier, because if you pick up that modifier, it increases the amount of time you're going to be petrified from 5 seconds to like 8 or 9. It is just very, very bad. Then Drought. Monsters grant no flask and charm charges. This is a safe mod, because before the boss room, you are getting a well. It's a fantastic thing to pick if you are not using your flasks that much or at all, which you technically shouldn't be. Then I would not recommend taking bosses deal more damage and take less damage. This one is a no-no. Grasping Vines is perfectly fine because you just move to remove them. Damage taken will slowly increase. Do not pick up. 50% less air effect and projectile speed is generally irrelevant, so you can pick up. This one, however, I strongly recommend to pick up. Rare monsters have 2 additional mods and 30% increased rare monsters. In my experience from doing these trials, by the time you get to Trial 10 and finish Trial 10, you will maximum encounter 8 to 10 rare monsters. Them giving +2 additional modifiers just increases quantity and rarity. It's a very, very good thing to pick up. That's perfectly fine. Now, when you do monsters gain increased skill speed, this also happens to be for bosses, so pay attention to that one, but it is generally a good one. The ones that you should avoid: Elemental Resistance Shred. You should avoid reduced life, mana, energy shield recovery rate unless you are not doing that. That's fine. You should avoid Stalking Shade for the Ruin, because for some odd reason, compared to PoE 1, the Ruin hits through evasion. It is a guaranteed hit, and it can spawn underneath the boss, and it can hit you while you do not even see it. In PoE 1, it spawns away from you, and it can miss you if you're evasion. Here, no. I would definitely recommend not doing this. However, because we do not have these modifiers on a Trialmaster, you can do that as well. For everything else, just pick what you... Pick the mod that is going to affect you the least, but if you pick the modifiers, then choose the ones that are complementary to each other. Do not mix and match different modifiers that makes you run, that makes you stay in place, else you're going to have a bad time. Now, a good thing about it is, about the trial, is you can get these soul cores, which they will sell. You will always make your money, and if you can finish it, you will always make money here. For bosses, there are 3 bosses. There's Chimera, which basically you hit it until it flies, then you run around it, then you hit it again, that's it. There's the one that spawns a little bird, you always stay behind it, absolutely fine. And then there's a death bird that spawns a tornado. Deathbird, you want to DPS for a few seconds, move away. DPS for a few seconds, move away. Because the tornado has almost no spin and it slows your character down, and it also like goes like bigger in size as there are more tornadoes spawning and you need to run around. For that boss specifically, there is this thing which is called Omen of Resurgence. Omen of Resurgence is while this item is active, you need to right click it, fully recover life, mana, and energy shield when you reach low life. Low life is 35% of life. It usually costs between 6 and 8 exalted orbs. However, if you get one that's like, you can put a few of these in the inventory. I always have like extra few. You can put a few of these in the inventory. You can activate them all if you want to. Absolutely. This will give you second life. That's the best tip I can give you for Trial of Chaos for the Deathbird. There's nothing else that can, like, if you cannot one-shot it, pray, basically. That's it. It also helps with Trialmaster and such. Trialmaster. Let's cover that one. Once you finish your last boss and such, you will get the fragments, and then you will put these fragments in the Trialmaster's tower. You put those fragments, you go up, and then you fight the Trialmaster. Trialmaster is not a difficult fight, but it is a very, very high health fight. When it comes to modifiers, you do not get modifiers from the trial itself, which is great, but that makes the fight easier. But as the boss has a lot more health, you need to pay attention to mechanics. The mechanics are very simple. He has an overhead smash in a triangle that also splits. So you have a safe area after a little bit of him. He does splash damage into a V shape. That's one thing. Then when he gets red, you just run away from him and he is going to pop this mechanic, which then once the red thing reaches the end of the red thing, it explodes. Just get away. That's basically it. That's one of his mechanics. Then he is going to repeat the same thing. It's going, see, I didn't know, I got hit. Then he just repeats that in the first phase. Once the first phase is over, he will basically stop time. So he just does this. So he will stop time. He basic attacks, of course. Let's see. He stops time somewhere around here, right? Okay. So he doesn't stop time right now, but he tosses his axe. Usually he stops time when he does his axe throw. When he does his axe throw, he teleports, and then he starts doing blood orbs. This axe also increases in intensity, AoE, and he starts doing the blood orbs. These blood orbs basically are just like a projectile that you can avoid, and then he starts doing the heart. Same mechanic as it did in the trial. If you stand in the heart, you're fine, but if you move away, you get stunned and slowed. Slowed and stunned, in that order. Then at around, 66% health, he stops time, he says ultimatum, and then he pops up these mechanics. So this, where you saw him, like 1, 2, 3, those are the balls that he is going to pop once he unfreezes time. When he unfreezes time, he pops up those balls. That's the first one. And then his balls are going to start ricocheting over the terrain. As with everything in the game, you can dodge roll with a perfect dodge roll. You can dodge roll the damage. Then he continues on with his pulsing mechanic. The room is smaller, but he does the same thing and then tosses some elemental balls on you, which is perfectly fine. Once he picks out the weapon again, you have the rest of the arena to fight. He repeats the same mechanic. He is not a difficult boss fight, he just has a lot of life. So he does the same thing until you get to like 50 something odd percent. Then he does ultimatum again, and then where he hits these, you can see the triangles. Where he hits these, you know there's going to be the V-shape mechanic again. You just dodge these, and that's perfectly fine. He keeps doing that and then increases in intensity. Now he has like 3 lines, and that's basically it. He starts doing melee attacks, and this time he shoots like the balls or the whatever it is. Just stay close to him and just dodge roll at this point. Like when he does the spinny winny, just dodge roll a few times and you'll be fine. I think that's basically it for this one. Then you can like freely damage him, freeze him, whatever. And I think he does ultimatum one more time at the end, basically at around 33% life and such. And when he says like Chaos aid me, he will do the same thing. He will toss the axe down, and that's it. And basically mechanics just repeat. He does ultimatum one more time, and he tosses the balls again. As you can see now, they are going to ricochet over the terrain, and that's it. It's a very, very simple boss fight that lasts a little bit of time depending on your DPS. I do not recommend people to do this as the 4th trial, as it can get pretty sketchy. However, you can do it as it has simple mechanics. It is a bit easier than Trial of the Sekimas. However, you still need to pay attention to some things. But hopefully this video helped you with getting your 4th Ascendancy point. My recommendation stays the same. Don't do Trialmaster, sell the fragments, buy the boost. That's the easiest way to do, but if you want to do it, you have this video with the mechanics breakdown, and enjoy it. If you have any questions, feel free to post them down in the description below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video or stream. Have a good one.